Hi, my name is Stacy. I am 47 years old. I've worked in the field of social services for, 20 years. Currently, I am full-time parent and foster parent right now, and we were thinking just some of the things we've experienced recently in talking with children about differences in lifestyle, in finances, socioeconomic statuses. Some of those conversations can be pretty tough to have with kids. We focus mostly on teenagers right now in our home, in our life. That's just the age of our biological children and our foster children. Some things that we've noticed are, especially with teenagers, it's really good just to be age appropriately direct with them. The children that are in our home currently are very aware that there's a huge range of financial resources and stability that families can access. So we work with kids on developing resources for themselves. First has to be kind of emotional stability and safety, and then looking towards their own futures. What resources can they build for themselves? They can earn an allowance for doing work. I think that's a good motivator for kids. The children in our house do have a set amount of responsibilities that they have just for, being in our home. But after that, they can actually earn money to purchase things, and they can see kind of the value at that point of what a certain pairs of shoes cost versus what a new video game costs. Children are very aware of differences. They know where they rank at school and amongst their peers. And those can lead to some good but hard conversations. We've had some recently with COVID kind of hitting and the instability just in the world. One of the things that gets asked the most is how do you have conversations with your children about things that they see when it comes to like what we would call socioeconomic statuses or inequality. And I thought for a long time I had, really well-prepared answers. And then there was a situation in particular with my middle child, who was a teenager at the time, a young teen, where we were doing a food distribution, and some folks had come up afterwards and asked for some food, and they were struggling. I think one person was probably not sober, and then there was another person who was pulling a special needs woman in a cart behind, and they had talked about sleeping in a tent so they could only carry a certain amount of food. And my son was very quiet, and I could see that he was processing a lot of information. And he was real quiet, and he asked me later on, is that real? And I guess I didn't anticipate that question, because I know he's seen so much diversity in our community. I was a little surprised that was is this real question. The folks that talked about, like, where are you going to sleep tonight, because it was raining, and they said they sleep in the porta potties downtown because you can lock the door to the toilet and that it's safe that way. And it's okay to do as long as it's not too hot or not too cold. And while we had exposed him to differences in, financial stability just through our own personal lives and through work, I don't know that he had ever even considered the fact that people do sleep in porta potties sometimes, if that's where you can sleep. So we talked about it. We said, yes, it is very real. This is reality for some folks. And, he asked, how does it happen? How does someone get to a point where that's your option? And so we talked about, and what was the most important to me was that he didn't come away feeling like this was someone's individual, it was not a fault, that there could be any series of events that can cause that level of struggle for people. And what we discussed with him was it could be a job loss, it could be death, it could be addiction, medical or mental illness, that overall mental health is the same degree of importance as someone's physical health. And if those things aren't taken care of, if someone doesn't have health insurance, it's not a terribly long fall for a person to reach homelessness and instability. He asked a lot of questions like, where are they going to keep their food, or how are they going to get money? And we talked about that's why we always have things that are, ready to eat, like canned goods that can open easily that don't have to be cooked, or ramen noodles that could be cooked with just, hot water. So I think that was probably one of the hardest conversations I ever had with a child, just because he was face to face. He saw it. And he asked me a lot of questions about what happens to them tomorrow. Can they go any place? And we discussed the places locally that are available for folks, one of which, he's really familiar with, which would be the YWCA. He's been here quite a few times, volunteering and doing other things. So I saw a change in him. What he saw that night changed him as a human being. I saw, you could just see it on his face. You can learn something, but then you can see it. And, he has an older sister who has special needs very similar to the person that we saw being pulled behind. And we talked about the dedication and the love that it would take for that man to pull the woman in the cart. And this woman reminded him of his sister a lot, and how it would be for his sister to be in a similar situation. And that, he absolutely would have done the same thing to take care of her. But to see him consider that was a possibility absolutely impacted him. And so our next conversation was, as a human being, what is his responsibility to other human beings simply for the cost of living on the planet, that he has to find something he's passionate about. How can he help other people? That's his rent for living here, And he's thought a lot about it, and he's done some different things that have made him feel like he's making a difference. And I've seen a change in him. I've seen a maturity in him, that while it broke my heart as a mother to see him experience that, I've seen him grow up into a young man who wants to help other people in small ways. He knows that he can't fix things, but he can impact. He can mow a neighbor's grass. He can take out trash for someone. He can just be a kind person at a grocery store. He's left money in different places under random things, just so the right person would possibly find it. Little things like that make him think that he is doing what he should do and make a difference. And that is, I think, that one of the biggest gifts we can give our kids in conversation is empower them to see, when they realize and they learn about some of the differences, what they can do. Even small children, 3 years old, what can you do? You could be kind to a friend at school. If you see a friend who's struggling, you could share your lunch. There's lots of different things that kids can do. And when you empower a child to know that they are worthy and good and kind and amazing, and they too can impact another person, I think that sets them up for just to be an amazing adult. And as a parent, I think that's what we all want for our children.